the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Wednesday. We're glad that you joined us wherever it is that you are joining us and whenever it is that you join us throughout the day. We appreciate it so much and appreciate all of you that have subscribed and liked and passed the word along about our show and continue to spread the word for us. We really, really appreciate it. Get your comments in. Again, we are live every morning at 8 o'clock. Faith, good to see you. We missed you yesterday, but glad to have you back.
Good to see you. Yeah, it's good to be back. It definitely did not feel like part of my normal morning routine, not being on the podcast, but I'm glad I'm back.
Yep, we all get in a routine, and then when we break that routine, it just kind of throws everything out of whack. But had a good show yesterday.
We're part of everybody else's routine.
Yeah, so. Exactly. We want to make this part of everybody's routine whenever it is that they want to make it part of their routine. We'll start with some of our outstanding partners here on the program, and I'll let you get it kicked off.
Yeah, Cincy Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Cincy Green. They are the carrier dealers for Auburn University and a proud sponsor of the Auburn Blitz podcast. Cincy Green is some of our good friends over there, and they're going to save you thousands of dollars this summer, and hopefully you can get it before their new units before summer so that you're not stuck when everybody else is running out because their house is hot with their units that aren't working anymore. So make sure you call on Cincy Green so that you can stay ahead of that and save thousands of dollars with them.
If there's one thing that's a priority in the South, it's a good unit. It's a good air unit. And if you don't have it, you know it, and it's miserable. So as you said, call on them. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm concentrating in educational projects, but do anything for you. They take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product, and they make sure it was done correctly. That's the important thing. It's why you hire a consultant firm. They know all the ins and outs and what you need, making sure nobody cuts any corners. Call on Scout Program Management. They do such a great job, and they are located in Birmingham, Alabama. One of our favorite places, Faith, Bunkers.
Bunkers. We know that that's one of my favorite places. That's for sure. They've got up to 27 different sports that you can play on the golf simulator bays. So not just golf, but, lacrosse, football. I think they even have tennis, pickleball, all those fun sports. So going over there and just hanging out, they've got 50 parking spaces. So while it's going to be rainy this back half of the week, and if you can't get out on the golf course, you can go over there. They've got covered parking, 50 parking spaces. You know how hard it is to park downtown. And my favorite part of it all is the food. So going over there and eating some of the good food. They always have happy hour deals, and their prices there, you can't beat them.
No, you can't beat them at all. I think you can even throw a football, right?
Yep, you sure can.
All kind of different stuff that you can do there. So go check them out on West Glen in downtown Auburn. It's prediction season, Faith. And what does that mean? That means that spring is over. The portal season is wrapping up, and now everybody starts to become geniuses, right? Including us.
Yeah.
How we think everything's going to play out, looking into our crystal ball, and
for everyone to comment and say that we don't know what we're talking about.
Right. We're used to that.
I'm ready for it.
But we're also used to proving people wrong. So we're good at that too. But we're going to miss as many as everybody else does out there. But that's the fun part about it. We'll give it a shot. And I'll just ask you, I didn't even cue you up on this. So this is a curveball. So you have no idea where I'm going with this. What is it that you took away from spring practice from Auburn? I know we've talked about all the position groups, the depth of the roster. We've talked about the portal needs, all this different stuff. We've talked about the coaching, returning players that we feel like are leaders. What is it that stood out to you about spring? If you had to pick one thing about this Auburn football team, what stood out to you?
Probably what stood out to me most would have been the fact that the quarterbacks were able to hold on to the ball a little too long. Um, and I know you said that at the spring game where I wasn't there, but that is something that hasn't really been an issue for us, I feel like, for a really
Yeah,
long time.
it's almost been
And
like hot potato.
right. And so I feel like that has really stood out to me and been something that I've thought a lot about because um I'm looking forward to seeing Deuce Knight and Jackson Arnold but I I thought that the fact that they could hold on to the ball a little bit longer,
Right.
um,
And actually let plays develop.
right, it says a lot about our offensive line, and so I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that has stood out to me this whole spring.
I like that. I think that's a good one. That is an element that we haven't had in a long time. Guys are running around. They don't have a chance to really sit back in the pocket and survey the field and read their progressions, which is important for an offense. So that talks about our offensive line. That gives a lot of credence when you say what you said to our offensive line. And I think we've talked about that a good bit over the last couple of weeks of how we are very thrilled to see that we have an offensive line that looks the part and has the experience and the leadership that will be coming in this year. And if they can stay healthy, I think it could possibly everybody hold their breath. Could be a strength of this team. When was the last time you could say an Auburn offensive line was actually one of the strengths of the team? So yeah, I think Jason said it yesterday, and he said it last Monday with us about, when you have to go back, and I don't know if you saw that or not, Faith, but over the last 18 years, Auburn's had 8 offensive linemen drafted. 8 in 18
Yeah.
years. That's horrible. I mean, there's no other way to spin that. And it's a miracle that Auburn's been able to do anything that they've done with that kind of stat. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I think no doubt about that. And I think a lot of it too is just really it's disappointing because our defensive line has been so
Oh,
dominant in I mean, you could see last year how they held us in to a lot of games, but
we've had game changers on the defensive line every
year
couple of,
after year
yeah,
after
every couple
year.
of years for sure.
Yeah,
When you go
so
back and
I don't know,
look.
I think that's just been something that's really it's been disappointing to see that, we've been so good on that side and then on the offensive side it's like
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. I'm excited though that finally it feels like we've gotten kind of a comfortable, I don't want to say comfortable, but
Right.
a pretty good offensive line that our quarterbacks can actually let the plays play out and take some time to see what's going on.
And actually have built some quality depth where you're not, again, to use your term, playing ring around the rosy, where you're moving people around.
Right,
When
right,
somebody goes down, inevitably somebody's going to get hurt. All right,
right.
that's just the nature of that position. And we've had our problems there, but the problem is when you lose somebody that's a starter, now everything becomes discombobulated. You're moving your left guard to tackle, and you're sliding a backup center in at guard, and now you're having to learn 2 positions and 2 sets of blocking schemes and responsibilities, and you're overloading guys already in a complex situation playing in this conference. So that is, I think you've kind of nailed it here this morning with the quarterbacks and why they were able to do what they were able to do in the spring, why we were able to really get a good look at them. They weren't having to blow the whistle because, guys were getting in the backfield and touching their jersey and they were having to shut the play down because that would have been a sack. We actually got to see things develop. All right. So the thing that I take away from spring, you gave yours, I'm going to give mine, is, and I wanted to let this kind of simmer a little bit, and the portal's about to close. for football is we didn't lose very many people at all. I mean, you didn't see a lot of guys jumping in that we maybe anticipated pre-spring. I don't know if you remember or not, but you and I talked about this, and we said it's going to be interesting to watch some of these guys this spring to see if they get more involved and to see if they have a bigger role and to see what their reaction is going to be when spring is over. And I'm not going to name any names because I think the ship has sailed, but there were 3 or 4 guys that you and I were looking at that we were thinking we expect them to get in the portal. We were not going to be shocked if we saw them get in the portal.
Yeah.
Because of who we
I know
you're sitting here thinking, I don't want to bring the names up because
I
think that ship has sailed and I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But I think most of the people that are watching and listening understand and probably know what I'm talking about. But you and I talked about these 3 or 4 guys pretty much all the time and said, we're going to watch this and we're going to see what happens. I think we fully expected them, and we would not have been shocked, and we would have come on here and said, look, we knew this was coming. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So there's a maturity level here, I think, with this team, and some of these guys I think we all have to stop and appreciate that they go, okay, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good place. I don't need to hop in the portal and go run somewhere else. If I'm not getting it done here, I need to continue to work hard.
I need to step up and I need to make those changes personally. And I think too, something I've learned from a lot of last season and this season a little bit in the first half of spring and stuff, but definitely last year during the season was that a lot of the guys take things so personally, which is a good thing, because they want to make the changes within themselves. And I think that's something when you're talking about how we were thinking that some of them were gonna, maybe move on. I think we're taking it on that personal level of, all right, I want to get better here because some of these coaches have invested so much into me, and I want to get better to make a difference here. And I think they do have the potential to do that at Auburn, which is why we didn't want them to move on. But I think that is something that is very telling about the guys that we have, but also the coaching staff, to let them know that it is a personal decision, and each thing that they do is it is a personal impact that they can make. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I think, you just talked about the coaches, and that's where I was going to go next, actually. I know we lost a couple on the defensive side, but we were able to get some guys back like Rock Bellatoni. And you were able to keep Marcus Davis, who I think is an integral part of the recruiting process. And, we see the relationship. You and I talk to these guys, and we know personally how much they love Marcus Davis, even guys that aren't in his position room, but especially these receivers. You want to know why Auburn's got one of the top receiver rooms in the country? You don't have to go further than Marcus Davis. That guy is so likable. He coaches them hard. He's an Auburn guy. Auburn's always hung its hat on having former players as coaches. And, I know we've had some leave, and, we all get a little perturbed that we see some of our guys at other SEC schools, but I think it's also a feather in our cap that Travaris Robinson and Dale McGee and Stacey Searles, I know I'm going way back, but then, Zach Etheridge and Travis Williams, I can keep going down the list, all have moved on to be very big-time assistant coaches on other big-time programs, and it just tells you what we produce at Auburn. But then you keep Wesley McGriff, and you keep your coordinators, which I think is massive. Like, when you don't lose your offensive and defensive coordinator, from one year to the next, that to me kind of lends to the glue of keeping guys and maybe helping them say, okay, that we've got some consistency here. I'm comfortable. Kind of just like you said, they have a relationship. And I think DJ Durkin obviously had several quarters in the offseason, and Auburn upped his salary. And I think it was the absolute best move because we know how good our defense was last year. I think our defense is going to be even better this year. And
there's no doubt.
And I think that's part of the reason why you see maybe and we talked about this for a couple of weeks. It's not about what you bring in. The portal's tricky. It's a revolving door. Guys leave and then guys come in. But while you're out there trying to go fill holes, there could be guys out here going out the back door. And
right,
we didn't see a lot of that exiting the back door this time.
Right. I think you're right. And yeah, maintaining roster management, like you've said, was a big thing. And to the coaches, we've got to just praise them for how well they've been able to hold on to these guys. And some of them had to go just because of the opportunity.
Charles Kelly, he goes to Jacksonville State. You're not going to diss on anybody for taking a shot and trying to improve their career, or maybe taking a step they've never taken before. But, again, I think Auburn goes out and gets, Rob Bellatoni to come in. And, he's been at Auburn before, and so he's familiar. And I know Jason has really praised him a ton when he and I have talked a lot. So that's kind of – I just wanted to go there because we haven't really stopped long enough. We've talked about every phase of spring practice, but wanted to just kind of give our take on what we thought stood out to us with this team as they go into the offseason and we wrap up portal season and we see this roster kind of, settle to what we're going to see in the fall.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot that we want to dive into this morning, and we'll keep this thing rolling. Predictions are always fun. And, we look at what teams did last year, and we'll start there. The order of finish from last year, Faith, I'll just kind of run this thing down because it's amazing how fast you forget things. And then we'll kind of use that as a barometer to go and make our predictions. And look, all of you out there watching and listening, feel free to add your comments in there and tell us if you think we're way off or if you like where we are. Or give us your predictions, and that's what we're here for. And we'll start at the bottom. And when you start at the bottom and it doesn't take you long to get to your team, that's a problem. Mississippi State was the bottom dweller. They were horrible. They were 2-10 last year, 0-8 in conference. Didn't win a single conference game. I'm going to say something about Mississippi State when we go to our predictions. Okay, so remind me to do that because I don't remember things from 1 minute to the next, so you'll have to remind me. But Mississippi State at 2-10, they've got major work to do. And then maybe one of the most disappointing teams was Kentucky, and they came in at 15.
Yeah. But that was a huge win for us when we won.
Massive win. Hey, look, massive win to go up there. And that look, I hate to say this, but it kind of told me how bad they really were when we went up there and just ran.
Well, I was just shocked when Ole Miss lost against them at home, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, it ended up costing Ole Miss a playoff berth.
It did.
Let's just be honest about it.
That
was the day of our debacle with Oklahoma because I was in the stands watching the end of that game on my phone, and everybody was huddled around me, everybody in the section. We were around like, what's going on? I'm like, man, Kentucky's about to beat Ole Miss. I'm like, I can't believe this. And then, of course, we played great for 3 quarters against Oklahoma. I'm like, this is going to be just a great day. And then, of course, it went down the tube in the fourth. So, all right, Auburn came in at 14.
Woo! Let's go.
2-6 in league play, 5-7. Oklahoma, the team we just talked about, not much better, 6-7 and 2-6. Their 2 victories were Auburn and Alabama. Just like Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt went 3-5, and 2 of their victories were against Auburn and Alabama, and they came in at 12. So Auburn, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, all sandwiched in there in the sea of mediocrity, and borderline losing season, barely winning season. All right, then Arkansas comes in at 11th. Good enough, I think, for Arkansas to go, we'll save Sam Pittman's job. Florida at 10. That guy almost was let go mid-season. They were playing so bad, and they turned it around. Look, this is intriguing to me. DJ Lagway coming back, Florida catching fire and really playing good football at the end. Everybody was ready to burn Billy Napier at the stake, and they come back and manage a 4-4 record in conference.
I mean, I thought that he was going to be gone. Actually,
dust.
We were all watching. What game were we watching? We were watching some game in the conference room, or like the press room at Jordan-Hare, and we were all watching it, and every single person was like, he might just be saving his job this year. This actually might be his year.
Well, DJ Lagway saved his job, and everybody's like, why didn't he start? They got Graham Mertz goes out with a knee injury, and then he comes in and saved the season, saved Billy Napier's job, and now he's one of the top Faith predicted guys for the Heisman coming in this year. So, all right, Missouri at 9. We blew that game, but Missouri had a good season, 10-3, 5-3. Ole Miss came in at 8th, disappointing there. Texas A&M at 7, South Carolina at 6, LSU at 5, Ole Miss 4. I mean, Alabama 4. Why did I say Ole Miss when I looked at Alabama? That's weird. Alabama 4, Tennessee 3, Georgia 2, and Texas finished number 1. Now, Georgia won the SEC championship game, but Texas finished with a 7-1 mark in SEC play. So that's how it finished last year. Now, how are we going to predict the finish of, or what we think the way too early prediction is? We're going to come back and revise this, obviously. We'll come back before fall, before the season kicks off, and decide if we want to move anybody around. I've already decided I want to move some people around, but I'm not. I'm going to stick with what I predicted. Let's go to some of our partners here on the program first. We'll keep everybody waiting on the edge of their seat for our predictions. Like everybody's like, oh, well, I can't wait to see what they're going to say. Sure Shot in Alex City, Faith.
Sure Shot right up to 80 for all your firearms, apparel, and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. It's really, my mom and I actually this week, I guess, we were talking about the training and the courses that they do for knowing how to operate a handgun properly, and how, it's important that if you're going to go buy one, that you're going to know how to operate it and be able to use it whenever, hopefully you never have to, but if you have to use it. So they have those courses that you can take with them, and they can give you all the information that you're going to need. Their number is 256-329-0080, just up Highway 280, not far at all from Auburn. So if you're going to go there, make sure you say that the Auburn Blitz sent you.
Hey, no doubt. No doubt. I get all my stuff from there. You know that. I've told everybody that. So go check them out. Scott is an awesome guy. He's got great people that work in there with him. And like you said, they're going to take care of you. They're going to spend time with you to make sure you're getting the right thing and that you know what you're doing. If you purchase a firearm for the first time, maybe, and you want to learn how to use it. All right. Oliver Ross. We can't say enough about them. They do great things, 20 to 20,000 as far as a party or gathering, weddings, like you said, frat and sorority parties, and everything that goes on. Faith, Oliver Ross, and you and I say, don't make a mess, don't look like an idiot. make sure you hire the professionals. They'll take care of you out there. And the number for you to call is 256-496-2212. I've got to get that graphic bigger. But again, licensed, trained bartenders for all of your events. So go call on them and make sure you let them handle your next event. All right, so let's just start from the bottom and move our way up. And again, prediction season coming out of post-spring. Don't hold us to this, but if I had to pick, and I'm just taking a stab at this, and this is what Faith is doing too, where we think the SEC will finish, and it's fun to go back and look in December to go, what did we predict in April? What did we think after listening to everything and looking at the teams and the portal movement and all that kind of stuff? Where will people end up? All right. Ladies first. Always be a gentleman and let you go first. Who do you have at 16?
Mississippi State.
Unanimously.
I feel like everybody kind of has that, right?
Right. And I actually remembered. Remember I said I needed to say something about Mississippi State?
Yes. Okay. I was wondering if it was that or, yeah.
No, I actually remembered, which I'm actually proud of myself that I didn't just completely forget. This team, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for this program. And the reason I say that, the NIL, all of the different things that are going on in college football, and it's the war of the haves and the have-nots. And I just think Mississippi State's in a bad position. I think they're getting their tail kicked by Ole Miss in state. They don't have the ability, in my opinion, to bring in the type of talent they need to compete in this league anymore under the current structure, where you got basically whatever rules or lack of rules there are. It's hard for them to compete and sell their university when they're competing against the Auburns, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the Floridas. They just don't have enough bullets in the gun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So they may be bringing up this. I would dare say recently that Vanderbilt's a more attractive school than Mississippi State. And I know they've had.
Glad that you said that.
Diego Pavia is, kind of brought an energy to them. Clark Lee has done a really good job up there. They've had some big wins against us, against Alabama. I know they didn't finish the season like they wanted last year, but I mean, they're a more attractive school to me than Mississippi State right now.
I'm glad you said that because sitting at number 15, I have Vanderbilt.
The Vanderbilt Commodores, right?
Yeah.
I happen to have the Vanderbilt Commodores at 15 too, and Diego Pavia, he will live on in infamy at Vanderbilt, and I'm tired of seeing him. We've had to play him too much, and so but yeah, I think they're going to take a step back. I mean, they finished 12th last year. I think they're going to take another step backwards. Sorry, Lyndon. I know they're near and dear to your heart because of Chad up there, but I know deep down you're still an Auburn Tiger. So, but Vanderbilt comes in at 15. All right, 14.
I have Kentucky.
So far, we're 3 for 3.
We are.
Right,
we are 3 for 3.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3.
But
I think Mark Stoops. I think Kentucky's always taken the philosophy that, hey, who else are we going to get? And I think that day is over too. I think after last year, I think Mark Stoops has been the longest tenured coach in the SEC at one school here in recent years.
mm-hmm.
I just think they're getting exhausted from the mediocrity that they've become. I mean, we used to say, okay, Kentucky, and better, you don't want to play Kentucky, and that they always fight you and blah blah. And he's been good at getting them to a bowl game, but I think it's passed him by. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right for sure. But
We'll see. I mean, they finished 15th last year, and you and I have them at 14th this year. But I don't know. You might see Kentucky go in a different direction if things don't change this year. All right,
yeah,
13.
I have Arkansas at 13.
You have the Razorbacks at 13. I know this is a little bit, this is a major drop for them because they finished 6th last year. I've got USC all the way down to 13. And I know they've got Lenore Sellers coming back. I get all
Yeah,
that. But there's just part of me that feels like they overachieved last year. And I think they'll come back to the pack a little bit. Now, they may not fall as far as I have them, but I don't see them being 6th either in the league. So, I mean, I know a lot of this has to do with your schedule and all too, but
yeah,
I have them at 13. You got Arkansas at 13.
I do.
Sam Pittman. I mean, I think Arkansas is like, I mean, well, what else are we going to do right now? So they hang on to him, and he finishes 7-6, 3-5. But that guy's definitely on the watch list of how he's going to do this year and what Arkansas decides to do moving forward if Arkansas has another year like this one.
Yeah. And then at number 12, I've got Oklahoma.
Okay. Oklahoma at number 12. I've got Arkansas at 12. And so we're, just a couple of spots off there. But I think, again, Arkansas, and then what you just said with Oklahoma, and I'll go ahead and move ahead. I've got Oklahoma at 11. So we're right there within a spot.
I've got South Carolina at
there
11.
you go.
Yeah.
So we kind of just mixed them up right there. So we're kind of all on the same page. All right, so let's move into the top 10. Who do you have at 10?
I've got Missouri.
I got Missouri at 10 too, and they finished 9 last year with a 10-3 record. I think Eli Drinkwitz has done a really good job there. Man, he's won at a very hard place to win. Missouri's another one of those that if they let it get away with this conference and where they are, it could really get away from them. Not to the level of Mississippi State, but I think Missouri ought to be jumping up and down. When you look at money, and we kind of broke that down back in the fall about where schools are NIL wise, and Missouri's at the bottom, man. So they've done a lot more with less. And I don't know how much longer you can continue to do that if you don't have your NIL and your collective up to par. So Missouri at 10 for both of us. Number 9, who do you have?
Florida.
The Florida Gators. I've got the Florida Gators at number 9 too. They move up a spot from where they finished last year at 10, according to what you and I are talking about, and I think that's probably about right. I do think that's one that I'm gonna ponder until we do this again right before kickoff of the season. I may jump them higher. They've got a tougher schedule. They've got a really tough schedule. But I really like DJ Lagway, and if he is healthy, he could be a difference maker. And we know how one guy, especially at quarterback, what a difference that guy can make in your team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch the Florida Gators there, but right now we have them at number 9. Jim comes in and says Auburn wins the SEC next year. Hey, look, I have no problem with it. Hey, we'll even throw out what ChatGPT said, Faith. I sent that over to you yesterday, and we were like, I was like, I'll take it. And you're like, I'll take it, but not with how it had to come down. So we'll save that for in just a little bit. We don't want to give that away. Jonathan Warrigal, to you too, buddy. At number 8, who do you have?
LSU.
LSU. Okay. So you got LSU at number 8, and I have Texas A&M at number 8. All right, so Texas A&M finished 7th last year. LSU finished 5th, so they're both taking a step back, according to us. So, I mean, LSU fans aren't going to tolerate this much longer.
Yeah, I mean, they did just lose one of the best offensive linemen there, Will Campbell, and he's going into the draft. And he was a stud player that was a huge difference maker for them. And I think his loss is going to be huge. And um, I don't know. Maybe it's also just because I don't like LSU, and I think that also might have to play a part where I'm just like, I want them to be there, but
I don't think LSU fans. I sat in front of in the Texas A&M game last year, and they were fun fans. We had a great time. I'm glad we won the game in overtime. We were all laughing and cutting up and ragging each other during the game. But then we were watching LSU, like keeping up with the LSU score, and they were getting the hell beat out of them. And the guy was a Notre Dame fan too, and he's like, I won't say what he was saying in the stands, the words, the choice words he was using, but they hate. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't stand him. They're like, I'm glad LSU's got that clown. He's a fake dude. I mean, we call him the fake Southerner, right? Because when
yeah,
he went to LSU and he came up with this weird Southern accent, and everybody's like, what is he doing? And so,
the Cajun accent that he's trying to
oh, it was
do.
horrible. It was
Yeah,
horrible. So he's kind of weird. And I think LSU fans were like, okay, all right, you got one more year of mediocrity before we burn Tiger Stadium down with you in
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
that is a very brutal place to coach. Now, their fan base, they may be the most extreme fan base in the league. And so they will leave in the first quarter, and that place will be a ghost town if LSU's getting their tail whipped. Like, you will look up, and there's nobody in the stadium. They're like, the hell with this. I ain't watching this anymore. I'm going to go out, and I'm about to get as S-face drunk as I can at my tailgate spot, and I don't care what happens in Tiger Stadium. So Brian Kelly, if he were to finish where you and I have him finishing, hey, I don't know if that's flying again.
yeah.
A lot of pressure. All right, so that's 8. I actually have LSU at 7. So who do you have at 7?
A&M at
So
7.
we flipped them.
Yeah,
So we flip-flop those. All right, who do you have at 6?
Tennessee.
I have Tennessee Vols at 6 too. And some people may go, that might be a little bit high because they just lost Emi
Yeah,
Aliava, but they just got UCLA's quarterback. And so they just did a trade. I mean, that's really
yeah,
all they did. So this is the NFL 2.0. But Tennessee, I definitely think they still have a really good they have a really good team. But waiting to see what happens at quarterback position is gonna make us decide whether I'm not speaking for you, whether I move them up or down from that. But I like where they settle at 6 right now.
yeah. And then this is where the top 5 gets
Here we go.
really,
Here we go.
really hard. I was going back and forth between Auburn and Ole Miss, and I think that
You still can't decide.
I think if we can,
Is it still weird to you that we don't play them anymore?
I'm so upset about it.
I mean, that it's just weird. I mean, it's like, and LSU. I mean,
Yeah,
and I know that, hey, look, we trade off and, maybe pick, we had a brutal schedule enough. I mean, the last thing we want to do is pick up LSU. And now that Ole Miss has vaulted their program up, we don't need, again, you're trying to get as many wins as you can, but it's weird. I mean, the season's just weird. But what isn't weird in college football anymore? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah.
You're in the middle of
No,
making this
I think you've made a good point.
important decision here.
But I would love to play them, and I would hope that we would win, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you got to make a call here.
I have Auburn being at 5, but
Okay.
the more I look at it, the more it just doesn't feel right to me.
Okay.
And so I think,
We'll change it.
yeah, I think I'm going to change it to Ole Miss being 5.
There you go. Okay. So you got Ole Miss at 5. I've got Auburn at 5. And, Yeah, here's the Homer Auburn Blitz show, right? Going from 14th last year to 5th this year, and you've
Or
got them,
4 on
or
mine.
that's what I'm saying. You got them even higher. All right, we got reasons behind that, and again, we're not trying. Look, we've fallen for this for the last several years and get geeked up and think, okay, here we go. I really think the roster rebuild and the depth and the way the schedule sets up, I just think you're going to see it. I'll say this: if you don't see a significant jump, it could be the end for Coach Freeze. I hate to be that way. I don't want to say that, but let's just be honest. Going into year 3 and 4 years of losing seasons, and the way things went down last year, I mean, I think you got to see a significant jump, and so you and I are making that significant jump for them in our prediction. Now they got to go out and do it. But I've got them at 5. You got them at 4. I flip-flopped them just like you did. I've got Ole Miss at 4 because Ole Miss it's crazy to look down, and they were 8th in the league last year with a 10-3 record. But, I mean, that just tells you how brutal this league is. And so I've got them up significantly higher because I think Lane Kiffin is doing a heck of a job over there, and they built a very good roster, and he's done a really good job of going out and being the transfer portal master. And he's been able to fill gaps. So I know as much as it pains you for me to say that, I've got Ole Miss at 4 and Auburn at 5.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
At 3, I think from 3 up, you and I have the same at 3. Got Alabama.
Got Alabama at 3. And look, Kalen DeBoer went 9-3 last year and missed the playoffs. Didn't play for an SEC championship. He was the first coach in Alabama history to win 9 games in his first year. Guess why nobody's talking about that? Guess why nobody at Alabama cares about that? Because he's following Nick Saban. And, like, if he would have done that following Mike Dubose or following whoever, everybody would have been like, man, this guy. And I think he's still a good coach. But you talk about immense pressure.
Mm-hmm.
There is immense pressure for him to get back in that championship game or to at least make the playoffs this year for Alabama.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
They didn't – I know they beat us at the end of the year. They didn't look good in their bowl game, and we weren't very good, so I'm not giving them a lot of credit on that. And then they got blown out by a mediocre Oklahoma team with Jackson Arnold just basically running the football. I mean, they didn't even throw it. So the season didn't end well. And I know we lost to Vanderbilt, but they went up there and they lost to Vanderbilt, and that didn't sit well with Alabama fans. So there's just a lot. And they're going to have a new quarterback, whether it's Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell. Probably going to be Ty Simpson, but we've seen flashes of Ty Simpson. And so far, it hadn't been anything stellar. I mean, they brought him in that Oklahoma game to try to change some momentum. It didn't work. So we'll see now that he knows that it's his team if it'll work. All right, Georgia at 2. I know you and I both can't stand Georgia at all. We're tired of them. But they're at 2. And then what about Texas now? I mean, Texas for 2 years in a row, if everything plays out the way we've got it playing out, comes into this conference and finishes first. I'm about sick of that already.
Yeah, that's insanity to me.
And, of course, they were terrible forever. Couldn't even win the Big 12. They get in the SEC. They got Steve Sarkisian. And enter Arch Manning, right? Arch Manning takes the stage, and so we'll see.
I know. Let's talk about the top 3, the quarterback situation.
Why don't we talk about what Hannah Cavendish said about Carson Beck? We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, like for Alabama, they're having their toss-up between theirs, and then Georgia's got Gunnar Stockton, who's going to be coming in
we'll
Texas, Arch Manning. So the top, I guess, actually.
And then, I mean,
the top, we can go all the way up to.
Well, Ole Miss, Jackson Dart's gone.
I was going to say, and then
Auburn,
we've got Deuce Knight, Jackson Arnold, that whole thing.
Tennessee.
Tennessee just had their
LSU
just
has
had
their quarterback
Nico
coming.
move
LSU's
on
quarterback's
and
coming back.
what?
LSU's quarterback's coming back.
Yeah.
So
But
you have
that's
to get all the way down to like 7 or 8 before you have a return.
that's crazy.
Glenn said Texas is still a wait and see. Glenn, I know you're a Texas fan, but look, I mean, I'm not putting anybody ahead of them. I think Georgia's still going to have a really good team, but I'm going with Texas, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think there's a lot of unknowns. SEC Media Day should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I are looking forward to that. We don't know who Auburn. We don't know any players or anything like that. So, yeah, but that'll be getting released a little bit later on. All right, so that was our order of finish. We didn't predict a record, so I sent you yesterday, and I will give cred to this because I like to give cred. I'm not claiming this. ChatGPT came up with Auburn season. They predicted Auburn season. War Eagle Daily on Instagram pushed this out. So kudos to War Eagle Daily for pushing that out. And it was fun to go through this. And I sent it over to you, and I said immediately I would take it. And then you came back and said, like, yeah, the record, but no, not the results on that. So let's run through this real quick. Not only did they predict the wins, they predicted the score, which is, I think this is cool. ChatGPT, by the way, is a little eerie, and AI is eerie at what they come up with sometimes. But they got us winning against Baylor 27-24. Man, that's going to be close. You're not going to be
I don't like how close
sweating that one out. So, all right, so I'll let you run down the next one.
We win against Ball State 45-10.
That should be about right.
Yeah.
So we're 2-0. Next.
Oh, September 13th, we play against South Alabama.
I didn't give you a very good cue on that. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. You just said, I was like, are we going to alternate? What are we doing?
I'm going to let you run them down.
We win 38-17 against South Alabama. We take the loss against Oklahoma 28.
Makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, 28-31. So that's a close game.
God, that's my birthday, by the way. Can we please just get a win? I mean,
yeah.
Anyway.
And then we win against Texas A&M 34-30. We're winning and having very, very close.
All close.
Here's
your favorite.
And now we're losing 24-28 against Georgia. God. And then we win 31-21 against Missouri. We win 28-20 against Arkansas. 35-24 against Kentucky. We win. 38-17 win against Vanderbilt. 49-7 win against Mercer.
And then this one.
27-24 against Alabama.
That's going to be intense.
And then we're playing in the SEC championship against Georgia in Atlanta. And we lose again against Georgia, 20-27.
A never-ending nightmare.
So immediately I texted Brett and I said, if we lose against Georgia twice, we play them twice and we lose against them both times, I'm going to lose my mind.
Now go ahead and tell them exactly what you said, that you could be put on suicide watch.
Oh, yeah. I said, no, losing to Georgia twice. My ego can't handle it.
That's right.
To UGA, I'd be on suicide watch.
I am so tired of losing to Georgia. Like, we would all jump up and down for a 10-2 record and go into the SEC championship game, and then knowing we're in the playoffs at that point. That's Jim said ChatGPT needs a battery. Auburn wins SEC outright. I love it, Jim. I love your confidence, man. I hope, again, I'm kind of Missouri right now. I've told you this. I'm the show me state. Auburn's got to show me some stuff. before. Like, I know I'm kind of inching back into that hole and that abyss that we fall into every year. Oh man, we're going to be great. We're going to be doing this and that, and then we get burned. But I really think we're moving in the right direction. So I do like ChatGPT's record. Now I'll trade a loss of Georgia to somebody else.
Ooh, Tony just said something. I think Georgia takes a step back because of the quarterback situation. 9-3 finish with losses to Auburn, Florida, and Georgia Tech. May lose to Texas, Bama, and/or Tennessee.
I would love
like
to see.
that.
I would love to see a collapse over there. I really would.
Me too.
I mean, let's just be honest about it. I mean, I'm just tired of it. And people that are watching.
I literally just can't keep watching them win. And oh my gosh, I feel
Stuff always works out, right?
Being from Georgia just makes it so much worse because people that don't even go there, they're just from Georgia. They're like, oh, the Dogs.
Yeah.
You don't even go to school there. What are you talking about?
Well, imagine that. People that are fans of I won't even go down that path. We'll just leave it alone. People can. All right. A couple more things and we got to get off. College football playoff meetings in Dallas this week, and they announced the college football playoff schedule. So a triple header on New Year's Day for everybody out there in the quarterfinals. The lone quarterfinal game on New Year's Eve will be the Cotton Bowl on Wednesday, December 31st. And then you got the Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and Rose Bowl all on New Year's Day. So, man, talk about a star-studded lineup. And then you move on to the semifinals on Thursday and Friday of the next week, January 8th and 9th. You got the Fiesta Bowl on Thursday, January 8th, and the Peach Bowl on Friday, January 9th. And then you got the national championship game. Man, I tell you, on January the 19th, this thing just keeps dragging. I mean, this is, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of these meetings and any changes that they have and how they select. You and I didn't even have a chance to dive into some of the stuff that I sent you yesterday about maybe some of the things that are going to go into the selection, which I think is absurd. And we'll save that for tomorrow. We won't even talk about it right now. We'll come back and talk about that tomorrow. So, yeah, I think there's the college football playoff schedule. I hope we're in it.
I do too.
Hope we're in it. And, will they change this? Obviously, with the way it's structured, the buys are going to go to the top 4 seeds. They're still not going to get to play a home playoff game. I still think that's weird that, all 4 teams that got a bye last year lost, by the way.
Yeah.
So, I think there's some things they need to look at. They may not change any of that, but I think if you have a top seed, you should at least get a chance to play in front of your home crowd one more time.
I think so too.
To me, that's a penalty. And I think having to wait an extra week is a penalty because obviously the teams that kept playing moved on, and the ones that sat out, they lost a little bit of their edge and they got put out. So,
yep.
All right, Faith, we got some more comments. John said, who is on the lunchtime show? It'll be JJ and Andy today, John. So it'll be JJ and Andy today on the lunchtime show. Some more of our partners here on the program. We can't say enough about Old Number One Customs, can we, Faith?
No, why would you DIY it yourself for 2 years when you can call on Old Number One Customs and have it done in 2 weeks?
Even though you weren't here yesterday, Randy and Jason brought up your slogan. And we said, look, I said, Faith has taglined Old Number One Customs with the do-it-yourself line. And you're exactly right. Why do you want to do that? They're saving you a lot of money. They can be in and out of your house in less than 2 weeks or 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks, with a complete remodel of your kitchen or bathroom. As low as 3.99% APR. What are you waiting on? I mean, tax season, I know some of you are getting those tax returns back. Your wife has been asking for this. All you're going to do is get in there and screw it up, like Faith said, doing it yourself, and then you're just going to have to pay more money for them to correct what you did. So don't do that. Call on Old Number One Customs and let them take care of your remodel, your construction project. Call them 334-752-6162. Great people. Love Jake. Does a great job. And JFA Blue Plumbing.
Guys, it's important that, especially coming up on the summer when everyone's going to be very thirsty and need to stay hydrated, that you're drinking purified water that is filtered and you're not poisoning your body with the nasty stuff that's coming out of some of these drains that are staining showers, bathtubs, sinks, dog bowls, everything. That's going into your body. So by calling JFA Blue Plumbing, they're going to come out there and make sure that you get the right water and a water filter system that is going to keep you, your family, and your pets all hydrated, but also safe.
Most important thing is your health. The Atlas Duo Whole Home Water Filter, starting at just $15.99. Financing options, 0% down. And you say it better than anybody. The easiest number to remember.
Oh, 844 JFA Blue.
I did give you a good cue on that one.
You did.
And you had to delay a game. I'm throwing,
Yeah.
throwing a penalty flag on that.
I've got this
as
one
the,
that just
as the helicopter just took off in the
she
background.
just said it's been on too long.
That's right. We have had an extended stay today, but JFA Blue Plumbing for all your clean water, get them to come out and install that. I mean, that is a very minute amount of money to spend for quality water that you're going to be drinking for you and your family, your pets, everybody else like that. So, all right, John said ESPN predicts Bama versus Ohio State in the football natty. I saw that. Brett, you and Andy go way back, as evidenced by your hilarious dialogue on last night's show about the train and the fire among the top. Yes, we went back old school. It is a miracle that the entire woods behind Andy's house did not burn down with everything that we used to do. And so, yeah, I'll leave it at that. And then it's a miracle that Andy survived being run over by a train, or almost got run over by a train back there on the train tracks. Don't go play on the train tracks, kids. Just don't do that. Don't do that. All right. We got a fun day. We're going to be on the road today, filming our AHSA on the road show. And we're excited about that. You have another edition of On the Front Row with Faith coming up this week that we'll be releasing. You're getting that prepared and ready to push out. Everybody should be excited about that. We're highlighting the swim team this week, and then we're going to be filming tennis this week. So, man, these are so awesome. You do a great job. Randy talked about it yesterday on what a great job and how he enjoys watching them. I've had several people come up to me and go, man, love what you guys are doing, profiling all these different athletes with different sports, not just football and basketball, but going around and giving, credence and exposure to those programs. And that was kind of the goal when you and I sat down and had this idea, and you're hitting it out of the park. I mean, you're just knocking it clean out of the park, Faith. Everybody's enjoying what you're doing.
Well, thanks. I love doing it. And Brett, your camera skills are great. They're top tier. But yeah, it's been awesome, and I've really enjoyed it. And I've learned a lot of things too. We've got really talented programs that aren't just football and basketball. So being able to highlight those that maybe not everybody knows about, and just great people so far. Everyone has been so awesome and so nice.
They have been. They have been very receptive. We appreciate Auburn University and all the SIDs and all the programs and the coaches that have welcomed us in, and how much they've, all the good things they've said about us, and in appreciation of what we're doing. And so Faith's easy to talk to, as you can see. And so she makes it easy on some of them that might be a little bit nervous when they sit down. I mean, it's amazing. You know, a lot of these athletes are in the limelight and they perform, but then they get in front of a camera. It's like, "Ugh." So you got to sit down with somebody that you feel comfortable talking to. And Faith does a really good job of making the interviewee comfortable there. So, all right. So we got a lot again this week as we wrap up, and we appreciate all of you. We appreciate all of our partners on the program. We can't say enough about them. I go all through them every time. Sense of Green, Scout, Bunkers, Sure Shot, Oliver Ross, and then Old Number One Customs and JFA Blue Plumbing. We can't do it without them. I mean, they are the reason that we bring you the podcast each and every day. And again, like we said, the lunchtime show will be Andy and JJ. So make sure you tune that in at noon right here on YouTube, Facebook, or Charter Channel 701 or Channel 80, wherever it is that you're watching or listening. We hope everybody has
The best day ever.
and a big old
War Eagle.